Okay, I want you to start by closing your eyes for a second. We're going to take a trip, but not to a vacation spot.
Mm.
Imagine you're standing inside a small one-room home in rural India. It's evening. The air outside might be cool, but inside it's just thick. It's gray.
It's dinner time. And the mother of the household, she's crouching in the corner. She's not at a gas range, not pushing buttons on a microwave.
No.
She is feeding sticks, dried cow dung, maybe some crop waste, into an open fire right there on the dirt floor.
And because this home is simple, there's no chimney. So that smoke, it just has nowhere to go. It curls up, hits the ceiling, and fills the room. It's stinging your eyes. It's catching in your throat.
And now, if you look around the room, the children are there. They're trying to do homework, or maybe they're playing, and they are breathing this in every single breath.
The walls are just coated in this black soot.
It's everywhere.
It feels like something from a history book, like the 1800s. But here's the reality we found in the research, and it's terrifying. For nearly a third of the human population, this isn't history. This is just Tuesday. This is right now.
It's what global health experts call the silent crisis.
Yeah.
As of 2023, we are talking about 2.3 billion people.
That number is just so hard to wrap your head around.
It is. And the cost isn't just a cough. The World Health Organization estimates that between 3.7 and 4 million people die prematurely every single year from illnesses linked directly to this.
Let's just pause on that. 4 million people, that's more than malaria and HIV/AIDS combined in many of these regions. It's a silent massacre happening in the kitchen.
Precisely. And in the reports we analyzed for this deep dive, they call it a triple threat.
Okay.
Like a monster with three heads. First, you have the health crisis we just described, pneumonia, lung cancer, heart disease.
So what's the second head of that monster?
The environmental disaster. I mean, just think about the fuel for a second.
Right, the wood.
All that wood has to come from somewhere. So you have this massive deforestation, but it's also about what happens when you burn it so inefficiently. It releases black carbon.
That really stood out to me. We hear so much about CO2, but black carbon is a huge player in climate change, isn't it?
It's the second largest contributor to climate warming, right after CO2.
Yeah.
It settles on glaciers, darkens them, and makes them melt faster.
Yeah.
So cooking dinner in a rural village is, believe it or not, directly linked to global climate patterns.
And the third threat is it's social.
Right. Who is gathering all that wood? It's almost always women and girls. We're talking hours every single day, walking for miles.
That's time they aren't in school, time they aren't earning an income.
It just locks them into a cycle of poverty. And that's not even mentioning the personal safety risks of sending women and girls out alone into remote areas.
So the stakes couldn't possibly be higher, and today we are doing a deep dive into an organization that looked at this absolute mess and said, we can fix this. But they decided not to do it like a typical charity.
We're talking about Eco Cookstoves, or EC. EC is a fascinating case study because they bridge two worlds. They're a U.S.-based nonprofit founded in 2003, but they operate with the aggressive, scalable strategy of a multinational corporation.
They didn't just want to help a few villages. They wanted to solve this at a planetary scale.
Exactly.
And their journey is, well, it's not a straight line. It's a masterclass in operations, supply chains, and I think cultural humility. We're going to track how they went from a university lab to running factories in Kenya and Honduras.
And how they nearly went broke in India.
Yes, and how a simple tortilla, a piece of bread, nearly derailed their entire Latin American strategy.
It just goes to show you having a better mousetrap is not enough.
Yeah.
You have to understand the mouse, the house, and the person setting the trap.
So let's go back to the origin story. It's 2003. We're in the western U.S. with a guy named Dr. Benjamin Johnson. Now, he's not a humanitarian aid worker. He's a professor.
A combustion research guy?
Yeah.
He studies engines, airflow, the physics of fire.
And like a lot of these stories, it starts with the trip. He was traveling in rural India, walks into one of these homes we described, and he sees the smoke. But where a doctor sees a health crisis, Johnson saw an engineering failure.
That's a really important distinction.
Isn't it?
He realized that the three-stone fire, literally just 3 stones holding up a pot, is a terrible combustion engine. It's inefficient, it wastes fuel, and it doesn't mix oxygen and fuel correctly, and that's why you get all that smoke.
So he has this aha moment. He thinks, I can engineer my way out of this. He gets 2 of his grad students, a couple of co-founders, and they launch Eco Cookstoves. Now, here's the first big choice they make. They form a nonprofit, a 501c3.
And this is the key part. They decide immediately, we're not giving these stoves away.
Which is pretty controversial in the development world. The thinking is, why make poor people pay?
Right. But EC adopted this triple bottom line approach. They had social goals, environmental goals, and health goals. But they firmly believed that the people they were trying to help should be treated as customers, not as charity cases.
Their CEO, William Roberts, had a great quote on this. He said, "Being a nonprofit gave them the freedom to prioritize innovation over quarterly profits."
No shareholders breathing down their necks.
Exactly. But selling the stoves, that ensured they were financially sustainable. It forces you to make a product people actually want.
It does. Because if you give someone a stove for free and they don't like it, it just becomes a flower pot. But if they pay for it, even a little, they are invested.
Yeah.
They demand quality. So EC set out to build the Mercedes of cook stoves for the bottom of the pyramid.
So, okay, let's look under the hood of this Mercedes. What makes an Eco Cookstove different from just a metal bucket with a fire in it?
It's all about the combustion chamber. This is Dr. Johnson's secret sauce. They developed this patented metal alloy chamber with specifically engineered airflow channels.
So it's about airflow.
It preheats the air, mixes it perfectly with the gases from the wood, and you just get a much, much cleaner burn.
The stats are pretty wild.
They are. It reduces smoke and toxic emissions by up to 80%. And crucially for the user, it cuts fuel use by about 60%.
That 60% number, that's the economic hook. If a family is spending a third of their daily income on charcoal, cutting that in half is like getting a massive raise.
That's the ROI for the family. But here's the business problem EC faced. High-tech alloy chambers are expensive to make. You can't just hammer them out in a village blacksmith shop.
This brings us to their operational model, what they called smart globalization. It sounds like a buzzword, but how did it actually work?
It was a very clever hybrid model. They knew they needed Chinese industrial scale to make those combustion chambers cheaply and consistently. So the engines were made in China.
Okay, so the high-tech heart of the stove comes from China.
Right. But if you ship a fully assembled stove from China to Kenya, you're paying to ship a lot of empty air. It just kills your margins.
I see.
So they shipped just the compact chambers and the critical parts.
Yeah.
Then they built local assembly plants in the target countries: India, Kenya, Honduras.
So the metal shell, the stand, the paint job, that's all done locally.
Precisely. It cuts shipping costs, but more importantly, it creates local jobs. By 2015, they'd created about 2,400 jobs in these communities, and it let them customize the stove. The engine is the same, but the car looks local.
Okay, they have the tech, they have the supply chain. Now for the hard part, entering a market. Let's look at India, their proving ground, starting around 2007.
India was the natural first step. Huge need, huge market. But it wasn't a home run. In their first year, they sold 30,000 units.
That sounds pretty good for a startup.
It sounds good, but they lost nearly $300,000 doing it.
Ouch.
The operating costs were just eating them alive. We call this the last mile problem. You can get a stove to Mumbai easily. Getting it to a remote village with no paved roads is brutally expensive.
That's the nightmare scenario. You have a great product, but you go broke trying to deliver it.
And a regular business might have just folded. But EC pivoted. They optimized their distribution. They partnered with local women's groups to act as sales agents.
And it worked.
Amazingly, yeah. By year 2, sales had tripled, and the India operation turned profitable.
Wow. That is a remarkably fast turnaround. It proved the thesis that this could actually be a business.
Right. It proved the bottom of the pyramid market was viable. So with confidence high, next stop, Africa. They enter Kenya in 2009.
And they used a slightly different strategy there, right?
They did. They used grants focused on women's empowerment. They realized they weren't just selling an appliance. They were selling time,
Right.
the freedom from gathering wood, and they used Kenya as a hub.
A hub for East Africa.
Correct. The factory there served Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. By 2012, that operation was profitable too.
So they've cracked Asia, they've cracked Africa, it's 2011, they're feeling invincible. They look at the map and point to Latin America. Let's go.
And this is where the story hits a wall.
Or maybe a tortilla.
The tortilla factor.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part of the story because it's just such a humbling lesson.
Walk us through it. They show up in Honduras with the stove that saved lives in India and Kenya, and it flops.
Completely. And here's why. In India and Kenya, people generally cook in pots. You're boiling rice, making curry. A circular flame under a round pot is perfect.
Okay, makes sense.
But in Central America, the staple diet revolves around tortillas and beans. And to make tortillas, you don't use a pot. You use a plancha, a large, flat metal griddle.
Oh, I see where this is going. You can't balance a huge flat griddle on a tiny circular hole.
Exactly. The heat distribution is all wrong. You get one hot spot in the middle that burns the tortilla and the edges stay cold. The stove was technologically superior but functionally useless for making dinner.
That is just a massive oversight.
They underestimated cultural rigidity. They thought people would adapt to the stove. But people don't change how they eat just to save some wood. So EC had to go back to the drawing board. And this wasn't a quick fix.
How long did it take?
4 years.
4 years in R&D. That's a lifetime for a startup.
It is. They had to redesign the physics of the stove to heat a large plate evenly. They created the portable plancha stove. And they added another feature the locals demanded, a chimney to vent all the smoke out of the house.
So they actually built what the customer needed.
And that pivot changed everything. They partnered with the Honduran government. The president was launching a Better Life program to fight deforestation. He saw the new stove and said, "We need this."
And that moves you from selling one stove at a time to a massive government contract.
Exactly. The government wanted 300,000 stoves. EC set up a factory in the capital, Tegucigalpa, created 250 jobs, and boom, they were the biggest player in the region.
So they've conquered the tortilla problem. They have a factory in Honduras. Now it's 2015, and they're looking at the big prize, Mexico.
Mexico's the giant. 27 million people still cooking with biomass. A massive market.
But CEO William Roberts faces this really tough strategic dilemma. The sources lay it out like a classic business school case study.
Expand versus export. It's a tricky one. Okay, option A is export. You keep your factory in Honduras, ramp up production, and truck the stoves into Mexico.
What are the pros there? Lower risk.
Lower risk, yeah. No millions spent on a new factory. And there are free trade agreements, so no tariffs.
The cons must be logistics.
Huge. Shipping across borders in that region is a headache. Delays, corruption, high trucking costs. You're just far away from your customers.
Okay, so what's option B?
Option B is foreign direct investment. You bite the bullet and build a brand new factory inside Mexico.
The pros are obvious. You get the Made in Mexico brand, which the government loves. You're close to your customers.
The cons are also obvious. Huge upfront cost. It's a massive distraction for your management team. And if sales are slow, you're stuck with an empty building.
It feels like a gamble. And the sources mentioned the Mexican government was sort of hinting they wanted a local factory.
That's the soft power pressure. Governments always want the jobs. If EC exported, they might lose that government support. If they built, they risk their financial stability.
And the sources don't give us the final answer on that specific decision, but it just highlights the complexity. This isn't just about good intentions.
Absolutely. The takeaway is that doing good doesn't exempt you from the brutal realities of international business.
So let's zoom out to the impact. By 2015, EC had sold 1 million stoves. That's a huge milestone.
It is. The numbers are great. 5 million lives improved, $138 million saved in fuel costs for families, 40 million trees saved.
Those are the brochure numbers, but I want to dig into the messy reality the research highlights. There's a term that kept coming up: stove stacking.
Yes. The Achilles heel of the clean cooking movement.
Break that down. What is it?
Okay, so you give a family this high-tech, clean Eco Cookstove. They use it. They love it for boiling rice. But they also keep their old, smoky three-stone fire in the corner.
But why? If the new one is so much better, why keep the old one?
Because the traditional fire does something the Eco Cookstove doesn't. It provides light and heat.
Oh.
If you live in a village with no electricity, that fire is your light bulb. If you're in the mountains, it's your central heating. The Eco Cookstove is so efficient it doesn't leak heat into the room.
That is so counterintuitive. We think efficiency is the ultimate goal, but if efficiency makes your house cold and dark, you're going back to the dirty fire.
Exactly. Or maybe you just prefer the smoky flavor for certain foods. But if they stack the stoves, use both, you're not getting that 80% health benefit. You might only get 20%.
So technology alone is not the answer.
No. You need what's called behavior change communication. You have to market a whole lifestyle change.
The other big barrier is obviously cost. How did they bridge that gap for the poorest people?
This is where the industry got really smart. They turned to carbon finance.
Okay, break that down for us. How does a stove in a hut in Kenya connect to the global financial market?
It's fascinating. Because the stove prevents trees from being cut down and reduces black carbon, that reduction can be measured. It can be certified as a carbon credit. EC can then sell that credit to a company, say a tech giant in California, that wants to offset its own carbon footprint. The company pays EC for the credit, and EC uses that money to subsidize the price of the stove for the family in Kenya.
So the global market subsidizes the local cost.
Exactly. It connects Wall Street to the rural kitchen and makes the whole model sustainable.
So let's bring this up to today. Looking at the trends from 2020 to now, where does the industry stand? Have we solved the silent crisis?
We haven't. And the data shows a diverging world. Asia and Latin America are making huge progress. The numbers are dropping. But Africa's lagging.
Why is that?
Population growth. The population in sub-Saharan Africa is growing faster than the distribution of clean stoves.
Yeah.
So even though we're distributing millions, the absolute number of people cooking with dirty fuel is actually increasing.
That is such a sobering stat. It's like we're running up a down escalator.
We are. But the tech is shifting again. We're seeing a move beyond just biomass. The goal is now often LPG propane gas, or where the grid allows e-cooking. Electric pressure cookers are the new frontier.
And the money is following that shift.
Slowly. Investment hit over $200 million in 2023. Companies like Burn Manufacturing in Kenya have distributed millions of stoves, largely fueled by that carbon finance model. It's becoming a legitimate investment class.
It's a long way from Dr. Johnson in his university lab.
It really is. And the lesson of Eco Cookstoves isn't just about stoves. It's that a good invention is just the starting line. To actually change the world, you need supply chains that work, the humility to redesign for tortillas, and sophisticated financing models.
It does make you think about where we put our attention. We spend so much time debating electric vehicles, carbon capture, fusion energy, these massive trillion-dollar tech solutions.
And those are important, but they're often decades away from having a full impact.
Meanwhile, we have a $30 metal box that can save millions of lives and cool the planet right now, today.
It really forces the question, doesn't it? Are we too enamored with the sexy, high-tech future to solve the low-tech, gritty problems of the present?
And that is the question to leave you with. Sometimes the most revolutionary technology is just the one that helps you cook dinner without killing you. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Mission Possible, innovating for the world's most marginalized. This podcast is built on the outstanding work of our students, whose curiosity and commitment drive much of the research and storytelling you hear. Each episode is grounded in academic research and shaped through close collaboration with our partners. To learn more about the research and partnerships behind this podcast, feel free to contact us. Thank you for joining.